let's break it down. Yuki Yoza versus Petchtanong, Kyokushin Karate versus Muay Thai. We got Yuki Yoza, former K1 champion, former Kyokushin Karate champion, and Petchtanong, who is a former One Championship champion, kickboxing champion, and Muay Thai legend. I'm just going to let this run through for the most part. I'll put a link to the original crowd cam video. Look at that corner there. You've got Takeru, you've got Masaki Noiri, and you've got Masakazu Watanabe there on the far left, fast becoming one of the most appreciated padmen in the world, the man who dresses up like a full-on Gundam and lets these Japanese fighters like Yuki Yoza, Takumi Terada, Masaki Noiri just blast body shots and calf kicks on him. We're going to break down a lot of the stuff that Yuki Yoza does really well against these southpaws and against these Thai southpaws, because there has been a little bit of a kryptonite. These good Thai southpaws with a good volume style, they can use the teep at long range and then the knee at close range to smother the work of a lot of the Japanese fighters. It's been tricky. Keito Ono's debut in One Championship didn't look as good against when his opponent was switching southpaw. Masaki Noiri struggled in his debut against Sitichai. Sitichai using the knee to smother the work of Masaki Noiri when he does finally get inside. Who else? Takeru has historically struggled against southpaws, but we're going to look at a lot of the stuff that Yuki Yoza does really well and a lot of the kind of karate techniques versus the traditional Muay Thai techniques. So there's obviously Petchtanong in the yellow and black shorts, and there's Yuki Yoza in the plain white shorts. So Yuki Yoza coming out orthodox versus southpaw matchup, but Yuki Yoza is going to switch his stance a lot. Yuki Yoza not using a lot of hand fighting. He tends to keep quite a high guard, but he'll knee feint. Look how he knee feints, and he switches stances a lot. We saw that a lot in his fight with Taiyo Asahisa where he won the K1 belt, and there immediately the calf kick. Something that Yuki Yoza does really interestingly off the calf kick is he just keeps both gloves up. He doesn't swing the arm. He doesn't take a huge step into it. He likes to get close and then just throw it there with very little wind up. And he keeps both hands glued to his head, which means he can defend and he double attacks as well. Even if he lands his calf kick, he'll still double attack. See, he feinted and then went to the teep. Something he does very well. He throws his kick from super, super close. So a lot of the time when people throw their knee or try and clinch to, stop him working, he'll still be throwing that calf kick, and there he kind of tries a foot sweep with it, and then double attacks again into that lead teep. Because obviously, if you just hammer the calf kick, you will get counted, even if you're throwing from in close there, and even if you've got your gloves up high. Yuki Yoza has a breakdown video on his own calf kick technique. He tends to just step in, like foot straight forward, and kick with the dorsum. A lot of left knee feints. Pretty much this first round, he literally just throws calf kicks and teeps. Will literally just throw his left leg. He does similar against Osman. And he's happy to double up, triple up. He's always making sure he ends the exchange, landing a kick. Something that Masaki Noiri and Keito Ono weren't as keen to do. They were happy to let points slide, but you've only got 9 minutes in these fights. 3-minute rounds. You can let a lot of points slide, and then suddenly you've lost a decision. Yuki Yoza lands his calf kick a lot in this first round. See how he switches southpaw? Something he uses really well against the southpaw. He'll go southpaw with the southpaw. A lot of southpaws, especially Thai southpaws, have that right foot turned slightly out or slightly even to defend against the inside low kick. And they're not as used to the outside low kick because they generally fight orthodox fighters. But Yuki Yoza switches and he'll kick onto the calf on the outside. Hands up. As he walks forward, he has really good checks, always landing at the end of the exchange, throwing calf kicks in close, doing a lot of attractive work, knee feinting a lot off of the left leg. He did this against Usmanov, firing that left leg multiple times in a row just to make sure he finishes the exchange. Hands up, there he goes, he steps in. When he instructs the calf kick on his own video on his YouTube channel, he teaches to kick with the intention of breaking the leg, which it's a good external cue for increasing your power, but if you've not got the conditioning, you could end up breaking your own if you're being a bit silly with it. Let's look here. So Petchtanong is using this knee, which is a strategy a lot of Thais use against the Japanese fighters. They'll use a knee and they'll end up kind of stuck in the clinch where there's not really a clinch because it's kickboxing. Punches can't really fly back and forth, but Yuki Yoza will often use this as an opportunity because he can calf kick from so close. This is on one leg. He's not going to be able to check. So he's just happy to blast a small calf kick in from really close. There, nearly takes him off his feet with that counter calf kick. And he'll throw it from knee and clinch range. Something that's quite Kyokushin, but surprisingly, we haven't seen Kyokushin fighters use it as much. Those low kicks from super, super tight. And there he mixes in that teep. Generally people will square up. If you start landing outside low kicks, people square up because they'll want to be able to turn that lead knee out a little bit quicker. And then that left teep, that left Chizoku kick, Maigeri, I believe. But I'm going to need a Kyokushin weeb in the comments to correct me if I make any mistakes. But you can go up the middle with that. And now this is the second round where he's done a lot of damage to the calf already. He gets a lot of damage off when he doubles and triples up in short time and using the southpaw stance. So he can check off that right leg as well. You've got another southpaw. If you watch Petchtanong sparring videos, a lot of time he just has one shin pad on because he only really throws the kicks off of the left a lot of the time, especially when he's against orthodox fighters or training to fight orthodox fighters. There again, we see Petchtanong throwing the knee and getting countered with that calf kick. Like Yuki Yoza, happy for Petchtanong to throw his knee in close and try and tie up. There's a calf kick. Again, Petchtanong throwing the knee. Yoza's kind of getting a check on that knee, and he's going to hammer this calf because there's no way Petchtanong is going to be able to move it before Yoza gets his left leg in to land the calf kick. Yoza's happy to kick across the front of the calf and into the shin. There's the Yoza kick as people start to check, as they're on one leg. So here he lands a calf kick. He's going to throw a knee, and then he calf kicks again as people start to check. So see here, the right knee is coming up. He's going to throw the ball of the foot into the back leg. A lot of damage there. And it's just going to make you hesitant to check. Well, that was actually a teep, but it makes you hesitant to check. And Yoza's fainted in for a scissor knee, which he was doing in the warm-up, which I've got a breakdown of if you want to watch that. If you really like all the pad work stuff. There's another teep from Petchtanong. But the defense of Yoza is so good. And he's just walking in behind that lead knee and throwing those calf kicks behind it. He's happy just to calf kick, calf kick, calf kick, and then only throws hands when he gets the right opportunity. Whereas sometimes Nairi is waiting too long to find his hands. Or Keita Ono waiting too long and focusing on the hands too much. The only thing is, it's very exhaustive. We see Yuki Yoza in his fight with Osmano, and Yuki Yoza by the end of this fight is really tired on the calf. Really gassing out because he's just throwing such a high volume of kick. There's a really first effectual calf kick that seems to just break down the stance and take Petchtanong off his feet. Again, he's just taking advantage of Petchtanong throwing his left knee, his left kick. That right foot, that right calf, it's going to be glued to the floor for a very long period of time. And because Yoza's happy to throw these calf kicks so close with so little wind-up, he's going to catch that every time. There's no way Petchtanong's going to get back to his stance in time to defend. There he kicks to the other leg. Lead knee feint into left hand. That's a very important move because if you're going to establish your left leg so much, you're going to sometimes just pick up the knee and then throw the hand, which becomes a bit more pronounced in this fight, a bit more important. That wasn't a super solid left hook, but we're going to get some good examples. There's some good examples in this fight with Taiyo Asahisa as well, where he won the K1 belt. There's that knee, and he just gets countered with the calf kick. Because he can throw that calf kick so close, because there's no massive upper body swing, he just keeps his hands up, and there, boom. First knockdown, let's look back at that. I said I was going to play it through, and then I'll rewind it constantly. But there, calf kick on that one leg, all the way planted so it's hard to absorb. Check, calf kick, little feint of the calf, into left straight. Generally, as people are taking low kicks, they're going to square up to defend, to turn the knee out, or they're going to retract the leg, which is going to bring their face forward into that punch off the same side. Good low-high feint, super basic, but what's very effective is that it kind of happens at the same beat, ba-bam, very quick. It's very hard to defend those movements when there's different levels and they seem to happen almost at the same time. Petchtanong grabbing on a lot. Referee nearly gets taken out by the Rolling Thunder, and there's a back kick by Yoza. We saw Yoza after the knockdown of Petchtanong. He went teep to the face. Very, very stylish after a low kick feint. But it just keeps Petchtanong, honest. So he's always building double attacks off of the calf kick. He seems to have his anti-southpaw game, which we saw against Petchtanong, which we saw against Gonnapar. It's all built around that left calf kick. He actually used the same move to knock down Gonnapar, the calf kick to hook off of the same side. I found an Instagram post that put these side to side, and it was very interesting to see. But it was a round for Yoza there, 10-8 round, which is even more important in one championship scoring criteria. I'm a bit funny about the scoring criteria heavily favoring the knockdown because some of the best fights end up a draw and get that extra round. I think that extra round could be very cool, but as long as it's not like peak classic K1 where they were just adding extra rounds for no reason. This third round kind of peters out. Yoza is a little bit tired, and Petchtanong ends up using the clinch a lot as defense. You know, there was a right triangle kick. Let's highlight that because that's something super cool when you see that in opposite stance. Was actually doing that in the warm-up was Yoza. That right triangle kick, because the body of a southpaw, it's open up on this side. If he throws that teep straight, might catch his elbow, so he's going to angle it in here. If you want a really good MMA example, look at Robbie Lawler versus Johnny Hendricks 2. That's a really good one. Boom, toes into the body. And a lot of people pull their foot back and land with the balls of the feet, kind of the pads of the feet under the toes. Yoza doesn't. Yoza just digs the toes in, like the tips of the toes, which most people, you're going to be more likely to get injured from that. I think there was a clash of heads there. Most people are going to be more likely to get injured doing that. But if your toes are conditioned, you're hitting it in such a small surface area, you're going to do a lot of damage there. There's the teep from Petchtanong into his 1-2. And again, the calf kick is punishing that knee. Petchtanong trying to throw that left knee. A lot of them throw the knee as well against the high guard to try and exploit the high guard. The knee, it's so powerful, even if it hits the arm, it's probably going to damage the arm. And chances are it's going to split through the middle. We've seen a lot of people use that really well. Like Nicky Holzkin would use it really well in close. He'd split people's guard with that high knee. There's a calf kick again. Even if it's checked, it has to be checked perfectly. That calf kick has to be checked perfectly. You almost, when you practice your checks, you almost have to visualize turning your knee behind you. Obviously, your hips aren't going to be that flexible when you practice it. A little warning about the clinching. Your knee and your hips aren't going to be so flexible you can actually turn your knee behind. But that's got to be the intention. But you've got to turn it so far behind that, that there's no calf there. The calf is hidden. You know, I half checked against Samuel Silva in the third round of my last title fight, and it didn't work. It still caught the calf, and it still did a lot of damage. Calf kicks, they hurt. And there's a left kick in the close side. I thought that was the end of the fight, but I've got the sound turned off. It's not a very pretty third round, so there's not a lot I'm breaking down on this. It's a lot of clinching exchanges. Yuki Yoza was raging, saying that Petchtanong was cheating. If you watch Yuki Yoza's post-fight kind of breakdown there, spinning back kick into a slip, spinning back kick with the left leg, it's open more against the southpaw than it is going to be against an orthodox fighter. And again, hitting in the calf, went in close, hands up. Yoza keeps both hands up. Obviously, generally, most people won't get as much power in as if they swing the arm. But because both hands are up, he's quite guarded in the big boxing gloves in that close range. So he's a warning here. I think it was for Petchtanong. I'll just use this to have a sip of nice white tea. Clipper white tea. Does it ticklish me? Vaguely. I could do with a lot of sugar and honey in this. Anyway, get back to the action. Not the most exciting round. There's some good back kicks in this round. There's the accumulation of calf kicks still continues, trying to blast that calf whilst Petchtanong is on one leg. It's tricky to defend whilst you're on one leg. There's a right knee from Petchtanong, and it still gets countered with a low kick. And Yuki Yoza using that double attack, always building double attacks. If you watch a lot of the Japanese padwork guys, they're always building double attacks. One attack leads into the next. And what we see off Yoza in this fight was a lot of time, if he felt that Petchtanong was getting used to that calf kick, he would switch it for a very big front kick, either into the stomach, the chest, or the face sometimes. Interesting fight. It was quite interesting that we saw Masaki Noiri and Superbon in opposite corners when they're going to fight each other soon. That's such an interesting fight. I have no idea what's going to happen in that fight. I feel like Superbon might get a decision, but if it's 5 rounds, that should favour Noiri and should favour the accumulative effect of the calf kicks. Nongo there, I believe. What a fight. 2-0 in one championship for Yuki Yoza. If you like the breakdowns, subscribe to the channel. Very casual one today. No interesting edits. Too much of a calorie deficit today. Have a good day. Bobo Sapabucho.